And hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Fringes and Where to Find Them. My name is Master Lash of Black Company. I've been in the SCA over 3 decades as a fringy mercenary, and I'm extremely excited to have this opportunity to showcase those of us that operate behind the scenes and those that make it possible for us to do what we love but remain invisible. But not for long, hopefully. I feel it's time for some of these people to be seen. Like my current guest, Reeve Lord Thomas Chisholm of Kaid, and also one of my closest friends and brothers. And don't hold this against him, but he is my squire, but don't hold it against him. He's also soon to be the Baron of Starcoffin. And so, my friend, why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Let's see. I've been playing the game since 1987, and I've managed to accumulate some fun stories and got to watch a lot of really exciting people coming up through the years. There's absolute legends. The names that I've had an opportunity to sit around campfires with, absolute legends. I've walked among some really special people, and I found myself in a place now here at Starcoffin with another group of really amazing people. Loads of crowns from Kaid have come out of here, and the amount of work that has been done by the people that have come before me. I get the opportunity to stand on the shoulder of giants. So I'm really excited. It's a big commitment. It's a big change from what I've done in the past, but I'm really excited to get started and see if I can make a positive impact.
So one of the things that we do on my show is we have some just kind of questions we ask everybody and that comes on. And one of them is basically, how did you get started?
Well, I started in the Kingdom of Adenvelt. I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona, and I was driving home from work and passing by a park where a fighter practice was happening. And it caught my eye, and I said, "Oh my goodness, what is that? What is that?" So I pulled in, and I got out of the car, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And they explained it to me. I go, "How do I get in? I want in. How do I do this?" And they were really great people down there, and they just walked me through the process. They immediately made me feel welcome and helped me overcome every garb challenge, armor challenge, transportation challenge. It was just like suddenly I had a new family, and I haven't looked back since. It was like instant love, and the romance has never stopped.
So how welcoming were the people that when you got there, when you first showed up?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, you got the instant impression. I wasn't the only person that showed up that day, and all of us, you got the instant impression that they were really happy that people were stopping by and talking to them, and they were really just going out of their way to answer every question. They answered questions that I hadn't even asked yet, and trying to tell us about it's not just fighting, but there's a whole educational side. If you have a passion for history, then this is for you. If you're into martial arts, this is for you. If you're into creativity, this is for you. And there was something for everyone, and they just made you feel like they were really happy that you found them. And I just, like I said, instant family.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because that's one of the things that I found and have always tried to do, and what you've have always done around me. Whenever we've been anywhere that we've gone, we always end up finding new people and bringing them in. And the reason I'm asking you that is because of do you believe that was the reason why you stayed so long? Was because of that first impression, that first.
Absolutely. It wasn't the activities. It was the people that I got to do those activities with. That's really what the cement was. I had a good fortune of about 30 days after I started, there was a war. And so within my first month, I was attending a war. And at that war, I got to meet Sir Yaroslav the Persistent. And after the fighting, he came to our camp, he sat down, and he was talking to me like we were old friends. And, I got to watch him out on the battlefield. He was absolutely impressive. He stood out head and shoulders above everyone else. So I was impressed by that. And then to sit down and have him be so friendly and welcoming and jovial. And it was, I was like, that is exactly the reason why I kept coming back, was people like him. And there were plenty of people like him. He's the one that stands out in my memory, but there were plenty of other people that were just really so embracing and wanting you to be there, and just really glad. New people made people smile. And I try and pass that on. I want new people to feel like I did when I first got there.
And the reason I asked that is that later on, that's going to come back around. And I just wanted to get that in the thought process, because that's actually going to come back around here. It's not going to bite us in the ass, but it's going to come back around. And then, so were there any challenges that you faced?
Yeah. So the household, there was only one household in the Shire of Burning Sands, and it was a mercenary household. And it's the household that I've been in my entire time. And as a mercenary, you find that you get overlooked, and you don't get considered. The things you do may or may not be noticed. But and I've heard a lot of people over the years that complain about that. They're like, we're just not getting the recognition. We're doing the same things that everyone else is doing, but we're not getting the recognition
or more.
And I would say to them, it's a game, and it's a role-playing game to a certain point. We're creating a persona. You've chosen a mercenary persona, and being marginalized by the mainstream is about as period as it gets. All right. That is how it was. And if you don't want that persona, everyone is free to change that. But if you accept it, you have to understand that your likelihood of getting noticed is going to be diminished. It's not non-existent. It is not non-existent. Mercenaries are out there getting recognized all the time, but it's not as smooth of a road. It's not as smooth of a road, and you have to take that in stride. You make a choice, and it's not a choice you have to live with. You can change that at any time. And if you don't like the way this persona fits into your geopolitical group, you're free to change it. And just because you don't get noticed as quickly, don't use that as an excuse to not put in the effort. Because if you're putting in the effort solely for your own recognition, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Okay? It's always nice to get recognized. Everyone loves to be recognized. But it's a volunteer game. Everyone's a volunteer. And we're doing this for the game. We're doing this so that we have events, so that people can attend and experience this. And that's got to be the reason why you put in the effort, is to make the game better for everyone. And if you get recognized, on the way, that's icing on the cake, and that's wonderful. But if you don't, and it makes you stop, then you were doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah, and then now, do you feel that contributed to the chip on the shoulder thing of the hats and belts and tatankas? Do you think that's part of the reason why a lot of the younger mercenary kids are so anti hats and belts.
It's a two-way street, because the nobility looking down on mercenaries was a very period thing back in the Middle Ages. And the mercenaries thinking poorly of the nobility was also very period at the time. So that divide is historically correct. And you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be a personal issue. There are plenty of knights and kings and barons and baronesses that I have very, very high opinions of. And I may play act that, oh, you're too good for us mercenaries. But it's a game, it's playing. As an actual person looking at their accomplishments, there's some very, very impressive people that aren't mercenaries, and I acknowledge them.
So do you think that that divide that caused a lot of problems, or do you think it's just the fact that there is just some people, well, we know it, we both know it, there are people who don't like mercenaries?
Yes.
And they don't, and they I've had people asking me the same question on different shows I've been on, that how do you why do you think you can even be a mercenary in our game, that there is no place in our game for mercenaries? But I mean, mercenary is about as period as you can get.
There are those people that that divide between the nobility and the mercenary is not just theatrics. It's not just them having fun with the personas. They actually do, not like that group of people, and it goes both ways.
Right.
And it does create challenges. For example, there was a person in Aidenvelt, and they were trying to get volunteers to fill shifts for different things. They were going from around the different camps, asking people to sign up. And at one of the mercenary camps, the answer they got was, "Screw you, we're mercenaries, pay us." And you and I both know that's not the answer you give. But that's
I remember
the answer.
that. We had me and you both had a long conversation with that group.
Yeah, and that is that person that was getting those volunteers immediately decided that is the mercenary point of view.
Right.
I am no longer going to waste my time even thinking of them as possible resources to help with this event. Not going to do it, because those jerks basically told me to go pack sand, and I had to pay them. And that made all mercenaries look bad. Shame on them for saying that, and shame on the other person for letting one incident form their entire opinion.
Right. I mean, because at Great Western War, if constables or anybody needs help, they go to Dragon Watch.
Right.
They go to Black Company. They go to the Horsemen. They go to all these other groups. They go to Black Room.
Yes.
Estrella War. They know at Estrella War that if they need help, they go to the Black Company and they'll get it. And yeah, that's a huge deal. So that's why I want to get people like you out here, so people know you, because a lot of people don't know who you are, and they should, because of what you just said. That you just blew everything up in the last 15 minutes. And said some sincere and honest truths. So that's why I wanted to do this stuff.
Like when I have an encounter or an interaction with one knight or one king, and they are dismissive and even rude and offensive, I don't automatically lump every knight and every king and every nobility into that group. That is not fair. So
but we did that when we were kids. I did that.
But we're grown-ups now.
Yeah, well,
sort of grown-ups.
Yeah. So I'm gonna save the rest of this, because I got some more on this conversation, but I'm gonna save it till later when we get into the hardcore stuff. But I want to just to let people know, and I know this for a fact, you don't like talking about yourself. You've never have. Every time I ask you for, what's going on, how's things, you talk about other people. You don't talk about yourself. Well, we're going to talk about you, because either you do it or I'm going to do it. So you're going to do it. I want to know, what are all the accomplishments that you've done?
Well, one of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of is keeping my household together through some really challenging times. The financial crash in '08 made it really hard for people to play, and working with my household members and helping them financially, or transportation and so forth, just keeping the cohesion together, through COVID, the challenges of keeping a group cohesiveness when you can't actually be together. I'm really proud of that.
And also the loss.
Yeah. Yes. My brother. I'm really, really proud of this. This is the Caiden Award of the Dolphin, and it's for service. And I've been doing this game for 34 years and giving my time. And a few years ago, I got called up to court, and I was given this at the same time that my lady was given her crescent, which is the next award above this. We received those together, and
so you're outranked by your lady.
Oh, absolutely, I always have been. Never change. They're never going to change. The other accomplishment, I guess I could call it an accomplishment, is that my barony has shown faith in me enough to give me the opportunity to serve as their baron. And I have to give the majority of credit to my lady on that one too. She's made me clean up pretty good, and she's found that I'm good with lists. So if she gives me a list of things to do, I'll do them. And it was humbling. It was humbling when I was even considered. When it was mentioned to me, have you considered? And I thought, who actually thought that I might be good at that sort of thing? Who looked at what I was doing and thought, we should give him this position and see what he could do with that. And it made me feel a little bit of pride that maybe the things that I'm doing are actually really having an impact on everyone around me. You always hope they are, but you don't really know for sure. You do your best, you hope for the best. And then when something like that happens, you think to yourself, wow, maybe I am really getting some things done, and people are having some faith in me. And it's humbling, and really I'm proud of it. And this thing. That's an accomplishment.
What is that?
It means that I'm the ambassador of Wonkaland. Now, this is my Squire Baldric, and you normally you would say there are many like it, but this one is mine. There are no others like it. This is the only one. If there are others wearing red Baldric, they haven't shown their faces to me. They're in other kingdoms somewhere that I don't travel, but it's kind of a big deal, and I take it very seriously. I have fun with the game, but there are certain aspects I take seriously. I take this very, very seriously. I take this seriously, and I take that seriously, and the rest of it's a lot of fun.
Dude, congratulations, by the way, because that is huge. That award is huge.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So now we ask you about your accomplishments. So how are you successful in what you do? How did this happen? How did you fall into your niche?
I am one of those people that spent decades on the fringes, happily on the fringes, and has migrated steadily towards mainstream. And a big part of it once again, is my lady. When we got together, she was the exchequer of the Australia War and had been for a while, and other wars as well. She had been exchequer of. And I saw the work first, but then I saw the reward, the personal reward, not the recognition and accolades, but that sense of accomplishment. And when she went to Australia War and got to watch it all happening, knowing that she was a key component in making sure that it all happened nicely, she could sit down with a smile on her face, never leave her chair, and just have the best time watching the event unfold. And I saw the reward she got, and I thought, I want some of that. I would like to experience that as well. And she was really encouraging, so I took an office position, a minor officer's position, and then I stepped up to a more significant officer's position. And the more I did, the more I enjoyed it. And so I've kind of made the transition from fringe to mainstream, and I have one of those unusual perspectives where I understand both. I speak both languages, and I see the joy and pleasure in both points of view, and I'm actually getting to experience both.
So, what was the transition? What was that point that you were just like, I'm doing this?
Well, the main reason was my barony said that there was a need. And the people in my barony have made me feel so welcomed and appreciated and a part of it. And when they said there was a need, is it something you would consider? Yes, absolutely. What do you need? What do you need me to do to make sure that this keeps going like it is and other people can come and enjoy this? I can do something. Tell me what that is. And, they officer position, and now to step up as Baron. And I just needed to make sure that the wonderful place that I got to play was going to continue and be there for other people to come and get the same thing.
What other positions have you held?
Regalia officer for the barony, and I was the constable, the baronial constable. And I've autocrated some events, and I've done some minor officer positions at some wars, and all while trying to run a household.
And you guys also took over privies for a while too at different wars, right?
Yes, our household did. We took over privies at I believe one of the wars out in Dunor. I think for copyright reasons, I'm not supposed to say the name of the war.
Right on.
But yeah, we did that, and then we have a standing rule in our household that no matter what event you go to, you will do one volunteer shift minimum. And it doesn't matter what it is. You want to do gate, do troll, headquarters, you want to do a trash run, you want to do privies. We did privies at Great West one year. We've done lots of constable duties, and I encourage it. You want the events to be there, then put in your time to make sure that the events succeed. If they fail, they won't be there. If they succeed, they'll come back.
So, looking back on this stuff, all the things you've done, all the things you've been through, all the things that have shaped you now, would there have been anything you've done differently?
No, and I'll tell you why. Are there things that I did that I regret doing? Sure, there are some things, some choices I made. I regret doing them, but would I do them differently? I wouldn't. And the reason I say that is because I'm really, really happy with the place I'm in right now. And if I did anything different, even made fewer mistakes, I might not appreciate what I have right now as much. So I would walk through those mistakes and go through the consequences of some bad decisions just to know that I get to be here today.
Well, but
I like my scars. Leave them there.
So, in that same vein, you're saying you got your scars.
Yes.
I want to know what those are later. When we were talking later on in the show, I want to know what those are.
All
and
right.
and I know you're a candid person, so that's why I'm so happy to have you here. Because, I mean, I know you'll tell us what you really feel, and that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Right. I'll share them.
So along those lines, with those scars, those things that have happened, what should we do to make things better now? I mean, are there things that we need to make better now? Are there things that would avoid that?
Yeah. There's always things that we can do to make things better. And if I could wave a magic wand and then and everything go in the right direction, I would say the number one thing is just have some empathy. Have some empathy. Take a moment during all your interactions to try to understand the other person's point of view. Don't have to agree with it. Just try to understand it. And once you feel like you at least understand what their point of view is, then decide what sort of action you're going to take. Don't knee-jerk react. Don't let your emotions dictate your actions. So think about what you're going to do. Think about the other person's point of view. Then make an educated decision with some empathy and a little heart.
That's why I love you, bro.
I thought it was the beer.
So along with empathy, if you look at chivalric virtues, where does empathy go in? Where do you think empathy goes in those virtues? Because it's actually not on the chivalric virtues, the traditional 7 virtues that, I know there's, like 7 or 8 different lists of chivalric virtues, but where do you think that lies at? Because I've actually had a conversation with somebody about this. I'm just kind of curious about.
Well, I think it needs to be at least a little part of everything. I think it has to be included in everything. You can't say that you need to have empathy when you're fighting and you're facing the enemy, and you can beat him without brutalizing him. That's a form of empathy. But it also means you don't look down your nose at the new guy because he's wearing sneakers and he doesn't have $500 earth walkers. You don't look at the guy that is wearing Levi's and flip-flops and a brown sandwich board tabard over it to cover it. You don't look down on that guy. Grab a hold of that guy. And you go, I got some loaner stuff for you. In fact, I've got some garb that I don't wear anymore. Here, take this. Or, this guy over here makes great shoes. And, help people enjoy the game more and judge people less for how they enjoy the game. So that's what I would say would be the best way for this to get better, is if everyone just, the knights are our examples. They are supposed to be our examples. They are supposed to be the high visibility examples that we should want to emulate. And as a knight, I feel, I'm not in their shoes, but I feel as a knight, if you want to know if you're succeeding in that role, then ask yourself, would I enjoy running into me as a newbie? And if your answer is no, I'm kind of a jerk, then you have some work to do. And if your answer is yeah, I think I really do look out for the new guy and try to make him feel welcome and give him an example, then good for you. Keep it up and encourage your squires and your men at arms to follow that example. Let's perpetuate that, and let's let that other judgmental stuff just die out.
So talking about that, talking about your the new people and the newer people, who is the youngest person that you interact with right now? And the reason I'm asking that is because there's a whole different breed of kid coming up now, you know, and
Yeah.
being a father, I want to know your angle.
Well, the youngest person that I currently have interactions with within the SCA is one of my Shield brothers' son, Liam. He's I think he's about 13. He is either preteen or early teens, right around 13. And the biggest challenge I have there is getting him to disengage with the electronic device and engage with the real world around him.
This is my not surprised face.
Right. And when we have successfully, gotten him away from his pacifier, he's done some really wonderful things. He's got really excited about thrown weapons and actually won a youth award at one of the events for thrown weapons, and has gotten into the kind of poking fun and cracking jokes around the campfire thing. He's had a lot of fun with that and interact with us, and it's kind of nice to see him engage with the real world and set the electronic world aside. But that generation, it's so much a part of their lives that it's, and even the older generation, it's becoming such a part of their lives that it's a challenge to separate.
Look what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Thank goodness we have this tool for these circumstances.
Right.
But if we could, we'd both rather be doing this around a campfire.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because most of the time you bring beer.
When have I not?
So, what do you think is the best way for people like us? We're Gen X, man. What would your advice be for people like us to engage with kids that age, and how to have a meaningful interaction with them? What would your advice be?
You have to find the common ground, and sometimes it's easy to find, and sometimes you got to look really hard, but you got to find the common ground. You got to find what the common interest is, and begin a dialogue. And then as that dialogue becomes comfortable, at first it may seem a little forced, because you're searching for that thing. But once the dialogue starts and it becomes comfortable, at that point, you can comfortably steer it towards interaction away from the electronics, away from social media, and just here, look, this is real social media right here. These people, and it you got to find that common ground, though. You have to get your foot in the door, because millennials and Gen Z, that door is sometimes pretty firmly shut, because the electronic devices mean you don't have to open the door. You don't have to open that door to experience other people. You can do it electronically and keep that door shut. You've got to find a way so that they are excited about it, or at least curious, interested, and willing to find out more. And whether or not that's actually going to keep their interest, well, that's an individual. Each person's different, but at least you have the opportunity for them to say, I've seen this and I don't like it, or I've seen this and I do like it. But in both cases, they've seen it. They've experienced it. And now they're making a choice based on an experience and not based on, I can't be bothered with that because I'm playing Fortnite.
Well, it's Fortnite.
Right? Okay, bad example.
Left for Dead,
Right. Well, come on. Hey. Left for Dead.
So we're going to take a little bit of a break because we actually have sponsors. If you can believe it, we have sponsors. And we just going to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. And we're going to go to, I do need to say something. So I always yell commercials at my tech guy, Justinian, who is just awesome. And I actually had somebody send me a message saying, why do you keep yelling at your tech guy commercial? And I said, well, it's because of, Super Green. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't get it. And I'm like, wait, how old are you? Like, have you ever watched Fifth Element? And they were like, no. And I'm like, go watch that.
And then we'll talk again.
Yeah. Commercial. And psych. Psyched out my tech guy. So I do want to tell everybody that I do have a fantastic tech guy. His name's Justin, and Justinian, a Black Company. He's a great guy. So this is a part of our show that we get. I call the meaty section. This is where we ask the hard questions, and we get the hard answers. Hopefully,
All right.
And so strap in, man. Tighten that thing up. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Well, okay. The worst thing that I've been a part of was an incident many years ago involving another kingdom, and they had decided that mercenaries had to fight for the crown, and they were only allowed to seek contracts if the crown was not attending the event. And I was not part of the decision-making process on that, but it was agreed. So our household was going to attend an event outside of the kingdom, and we went to the crown to let them know. And the crown said, well, due to our progress, we're not going to be attending that event. We have another event we have to go to. So feel free to seek out a contract, which we did. And we sought out a contract from the king of Kaid, and he contracted us out. And we arrive at the site, we set up camp, we coordinate with them what time we're mustering in the morning, and lo and behold, our crown shows up. And things happen, whether, I don't know what it was, but the other event they weren't going to attend to, so at the last moment, they came there. And everything's fine. We get up the next morning, we suit up, we go muster with our employer, and the king, our king of our kingdom, says, no, you have to come over here. we're here. You
No.
have to come here.
No.
And
Fine contract, bro.
said, no, we've already taken payment, and now we have to fulfill our contract. And he said, I don't give a crap about your contracts. You will come here and fight with us because you live in my kingdom. You are in my army. And we said, well, I'm afraid we're not going to do that. Well, the instruction was passed down to every belted fighter in that kingdom to put the hurt on us. It doesn't matter what the war scenario is. It doesn't matter what the goal is. I don't care if we win a single battle. Make those guys suffer. And we had guys that were getting brutalized when they were on the ground. You know, they were getting hit hard to begin with, and when they took the shot, guys were coming up and doing the boot dance on them and pounding them on the ground. And halfway through the day, our employer said, this is hard to watch. If you want to go fight with them, I'll release you from the contract. And our captain said, this is the offer that's on the table. Let's have a vote. And unanimously, we said, no, we're fighting for our contract. Took the contract, we're fighting for the contract. So we continue to fight. 70% of our household ended the day with actual injuries. They were injured. And the king that hired us, King of Kaid, went over to our king and he said, we can't watch this anymore. I will sell you their contract for a handshake. And the king agreed. And he told us, as your employer, I've sold your contract to him. You now have to fight for him. And so we did. We moved over to the other side. And it left such a bad taste in my mouth that these people had taken this to such a personal level that they were willing to physically injure people to make a point. And it was shortly after that when I got together with several other mercenary households and decided to unionize.
Thug Nation Army.
Thug Nation Army, TNA.
TNA. So,
Yeah.
Was there anything done about that afterwards?
No, I mean, there was nothing done about it other than what we did in response to it, to unionize and get our groups together so that if we ever saw another unit taking that kind of punishment, we would all come together and stand with them. And that prevented that from happening. But as far as internally, that king, he never had any consequence for that decision, other than a few people probably had a lower opinion of him for a while. But when you're king for 6 months, you can do whatever you want, and it's only a problem for 6 months.
So now, when that happened, none of the marshals got involved in it. Nobody tried to step in on it. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody did anything about it.
No, other than the King of Kaid, who basically said, "We don't want to watch this anymore. This is not fun." Other than that being spoken out loud, no marshal stepped in and did anything. I think they were intimidated. I mean, this was many years ago, and the dynamics. This is not something that could happen today. This is not something that could possibly happen today.
Well, yeah, because we wouldn't allow it.
No, and the
like
marshals
me and you and 90% of the people that we know in the game.
Right. And the marshals that we currently have playing, really take this stuff very seriously, and they're not going to allow that to happen. And but back then, it was a smaller event. They had some inexperienced marshals that were pretty intimidated by a crown, and they didn't know if it was their place to speak up, so they didn't. And that's not how it would go down now. The culture now is not something where we would ever have to worry about that happening again. But we need to keep an eye out to make sure that that old culture doesn't find new seeds planted and sprout up that negativity again. It's
Right.
gone, and let's be glad it's gone. It's in the past, and we can tell the stories about it. Let's not have stories in the future about it.
So now, would that also go into my next question, which is, what was the worst thing you have seen happen to someone else? Is that still right in there, or is there something else?
Yeah, that's pretty much the worst I've seen. I mean, I did. I have seen some experienced fighters taking advantage of inexperienced fighters and displaying almost a gleeful pride in the level of dominance that they would have over someone. And if you're better at something than someone else, then I think you have a responsibility to try and help that person improve. Take what you've learned and teach someone.
Right, because you want to get better. The only way you can get better is to have that person get better.
Right. And if all you're doing is taking pride in the fact that no one is as good as you, then and you're not making any effort to help someone get better, then I don't think you have anything to be proud of.
Yeah, and it gets awful lonely too. Mm-hmm. If we have anything to do about it.
And sometimes we do. Sometimes we do.
Okay, so what's the best thing that's happened to you?
Oh, that's easy. That's my lady.
Yeah, I know. I was like thinking, why am I asking this? Because you're going to say your lady. Because we already.
That's a no-brainer. No-brainer. I mean, without her, I would be a badly dressed stick monkey that's fighting for cookies. That's where I'd be.
Wait.
And now. It's a big cookies.
So your standards have gone up a little.
and I've gotten to learn about the joy of service, because there's a joy there. It's not. I mean, yeah, it's work, and sometimes it's frustrating, but I've learned something about it that I probably wouldn't have had an opportunity to enjoy if she hadn't taken the time and had pity on me and taken me under her wing.
So we're kind of going to go off script a little bit, but what do you think? Because I told you I wanted to come full circle. What do you think? What did your wife do to, other than show you, the benefits, to get you to actually step into the mainstream? Because you've been fringy your whole life.
I have, and so there were the one watching her enjoy it and seeing the enjoyment she got out of it, and being a little jealous of that enjoyment and wanting to have a little of that for myself. That was a motivator. But one of the things that really struck a chord with me, as the head of my household, I worked really hard to help people get better at the game, whether that's in garb or gear, camping equipment, whatever it might be. And when I could see them doing better and having an easier time with something and knowing I had a hand in that, I always liked that. It was the best part about being the head of a household. And then I started seeing that in the things that she was doing, dozens of people, hundreds of people were having a better time in the SCA because of the efforts that she did. You might say she is an unsung hero, because she doesn't have her Pelican, and she hasn't been front and center on the stage, but I hear her praises sung all the time. People are constantly telling me, wow, what she does and how she's helped, and she's wow. There's always a wow in there somewhere. And
that actually to me is because a lot of people don't know. You do, but the Pelican to me is the highest level to me in the society is the Pelican. That's to me, that's up here. That's above chivalry. That's above, everything else. To me, the Pelican is the pinnacle of the society, the representative of the society for me. And it's just, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Pelicans. And your lady is freaking up there for me. And she's just a freaking amazing lady. And I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to, at least talk about her. And she's not there, so you can really talk about her.
and she inspired me to emulate that. I want to have a positive impact on the people around me that play this game. I want my efforts to make other people's enjoyment increase. And I see that in just about everything she does, that's the end result. And so when she was like, we should get into more service, I was like, absolutely, yes, let's do more service. And I follow her example, and I listen to her advice most of the time. and on those times when I don't, I usually, regret it. But but yeah, she's in the SCA. I can talk about fighters that are impressive, that have impressed me, made an impression on me, and personalities. But as far as a hero goes, she's my hero in this game. And she doesn't do it for this. She doesn't do it for this. And she doesn't do it for the spotlight. She does it because she gets to see everyone else around her enjoy the game more. And that brings her joy.
And a lot, and she is, to me, what the epitome of what Pelicans do. They do everything behind the scenes. They don't want attention. They don't want people to know what they're doing. They just want to sit back and enjoy everything. And you actually have a Pelican in your household, if I remember right.
Yes.
And your household is Dragon Watch, and people know Dragon Watch. If they don't, then you should, because of your service and your dirty mercenaries, and we love them.
Filthy mercenaries.
Yeah, and now you've had to step out of your household, correct? Because you figured that you couldn't.
I don't want a conflict of interest between my commitment to the barony versus commitment to the household. There should never be a question as to what my goal is as Baron of Starcoffin. My goal of Baron of Starcoffin is to enrich the barony of Starcoffin and to make it a better place for everyone who comes here to enjoy the game. And I don't even want the question that I have another priority.
So does that mean that since you've done that, that you are no longer a mercenary, that you are a 100% citizen of Kaid, and as the Baron, you're going to be a 100% citizen of Kaid?
My mercenary status is currently suspended.
So no, did you get suspended?
While I have not yet taken my oath of office and pledged fealty, I will be doing that, and it will be the first oath of fealty that I've pledged to a kingdom at that time, it'll be almost 35 years. In the 35 years I've played, it'll be the first time. And I feel totally comfortable with it. You know, I thought I was going to struggle with it. I feel completely comfortable with it.
So now, does
I
that
owe a
change your?
huge
Yeah, I
debt
know
of
you have
service.
aspirations to become chivalry. I know you really wanted to become chivalry because you're my squire, and you told me that you wanted to become chivalry. Now, does that change what you're looking for? Because I know you were looking for, like me, a master at arms. I mean, does that mean you would take a belt, or would you rather take a master at arms?
No, I'll take a master at arms if I were ever elevated. Master at arms is my goal.
Why?
But
If you're going to give fealty to your barony, why would you want to do that?
I want to be a peer of the Knowne World. I would like to be a peer, a member of chivalry in the SCA for everyone, no matter where I go. I don't want to be looked at as a an Aidenvelt knight or a West knight or a Caedan knight. I want to be a chivalrous member of peerage in every kingdom and not questioned as to would he work as hard here as he did there.
Right. And which is kind of the mantra of the Master at Arms, is that we are chivalry for the known world. We're chivalry for, for the little guy. It's basically, we have reasons why we don't take the belt and we take the baldric, but that are deeply personal and singular. But I just was kind of curious because I wanted to know, and that I've actually done that before, but I wanted you to tell me why, and give me your opinions on that.
I don't want anyone to ever question, am I going to work harder for Caid because I was knighted in Caid than I would in another kingdom? And I'm not saying that people do ask that question. I just don't want it to ever be a possibility that someone might even think that. And as a master at arms, they know my pledge is to the idea of chivalry, not a kingdom, but the oath of chivalry. If I were to take that oath, would be to the idea of chivalry, not any particular kingdom, not any particular crown, region, area, household, none of that. It would be to the idea of chivalry, and that extends through the known world.
Reverend.
Can I get a witness?
Oh, my young Padawan, you learn well. So we're almost running out. We're almost out of time, brother. And but we're gonna run over a little bit because how did you end up becoming my squire?
Well, when I looked at the long list of master at arms I had to choose from,
I was the last on that list.
you were the only one whose name I could spell.
So for all those who are watching, it was kind of thing that a long time ago, me and this man were sitting at a fire, and we were drunk and just
17 years ago,
hugging and drinking beer, and we did a beer smack promise, an oath, that if one of us became chivalry, the other one would absolutely have to become
squire.
So if you had became chivalry, I'd have been your squire, and it just happened to be me becoming chivalry, and
yeah, you beat me. And I won't Welsh on a bet.
Yep. Yeah, you were actually squired to a knight at that time.
I was squired to a knight for a short period of time, and he moved out of the area, and due to health reasons, he no longer plays, and he's been inactive for quite some time. And he had given me the option of keeping the squire belt and giving my training to another local knight, or I could return the squire belt. And there was no question in my mind. I returned the squire belt because the only reason I had considered squiring with him is because of the many years of history we had together, and he had absolute respect and understanding for my mercenary persona.
And he's an exceptional guy.
A very exceptional guy. And I'd like to say his name, Sir Cedric, was a gentleman, and he recently had some health issues, and hasn't been active. And I wish the best for him, and I look forward to seeing him again. But I had to step down from being his squire. It had nothing to do with any sort of philosophy or personal issues or anything. It was a geography issue, and his being far away and not being able to travel to events at all meant we weren't even going to randomly run into each other at events from time to time. I was never going to be seeing him without maybe a rare exception here and there where I might go all the way out to his new location. But the likelihood of that would have been almost none. And I couldn't take another night. He understood my persona. He understood my priorities. He respected them and allowed me to play in those. And so I squired to him.
And then I come along and ruin it. And now you're going to be a baron. And
yeah, but I get the joy of saying, two there are, a master and an apprentice, always two.
Always
no more,
two.
no less.
So one of the things we do in our show is called we do shout outs for people that you just want to do shout out for, and then we also do something called throwing someone under the bus. So I know your shout out was your lady, and
yes, absolutely.
And you're more than, what you haven't said was your lady's name.
Catelyn, Lady Catelyn, the Honorable Lady Catelyn, and she began her career in Aidenville, and I stole her.
Yeah, there were some very angry dukes at you for that.
Yes, Duke Craven actually sent me a bill that I had to pay in full, and it's paid in full. But yes,
you stole his exchequer.
I think he undervalued her.
Yeah,
I got a bargain. It only cost me 50 mercenaries.
Oh, that's all.
That's all. She's worth a lot more than that. He was a sucker.
So, and then the other thing we do is we call throwing somebody under the bus. And you have somebody, and we're going to show you who that is right now, right, Justin? There's the man. Who is that?
That is Taran the Goth. Taran the Goth had the unfortunate position of replacing me as captain of Dragon Watch. So he is now the head of the household of Dragon Watch, and I have seen him step up. He resides in Aidenville. He's right on the border of Aidenville and Caid on the Colorado River. So he plays on both sides of the river. And he has taken a marshal position, senior marshal position in his local shire, and has dedicated his time to the fighter practices and keeping things safe there. He has taken on other positions in his shire, the household he stepped up in. He's actually going to be a member of our baronial guard. He currently is and is going to continue to be a member of the baronial guard. And if he is asked to do anything to help, it's always yes. I've never seen him turn anyone down when he was in a position to help them. The guy is amazing. So if you don't know him, you better ask somebody because he is a guy that you should know. Everyone should know this guy.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy, and also he's stepping into the reins of looking for contracts. So if you're going to Great Western War, or if you're going to any other wars, that's the guy to get a hold of Dragon Watch. And we've already had some interaction for Great Western War because there's some bids flying for Black Company.
Yeah,
and some pretty awesome bids flying for Black Company.
Yeah, and I don't want to do anything that might dissuade you from anybody else's bids, because it should be a free and fair market. And you go out and find the best contracts you can, and no hard feelings.
Oh, I love you, bro. So we ran over just a little bit, but not normally like I thought me and you would because of how much we talk. But I want people to know out there about what I have always known as Captain Thomas. He'll always be Captain Thomas. And this is the only guy that I've known that put out a contract and said he would get 75 mercenary fighters, and he did it. And we destroyed at this war. It was crazy. And at that war, people opened their eyes to the damage that mercenaries can do, and started I think helped along with other leaders, Ulfblood, Brother Thomas, Eldur of the Crimson Brotherhood,
Captain Dougal.
Dougal, Darksail, right?
No, Deteriorata.
Deteriorata, yeah. And Alchemist from Chaos, there, and all these different guys. Yeah, I think it helped all those guys realize that we can turn that corner and we can all play together nicely ish.
Yes, we can.
But I just want people to know that how much respect I have for you and your family, how much I love you, and I seriously miss you through all this COVID pandemic.
I love you,
and to Athos,
Jeffrey Athos von Ulm, wherever he may be, slacker.
Well, brother, we are done for the day, and thank you so much for being here and taking the time to do this. And I hope people will reach out to you, and I hope they'll and ask you more questions and come to know you like I do and value you as a friend.
Well, thank you very much for having me on here. I was really flattered to be here, and I hope to see many more of your episodes. I'm loving this show.
Yeah, which reminds me, if anybody has any questions they would like in the Ask Lash segment, which will be coming up here in a bit, please put your questions in, get as many in there as you can, and so we can totally jam up my tech guy, because that's fun.
Earn your pay.
And Thomas, you're more than welcome to hang out in the lobby and watch the rest of the show, and we can talk afterwards if you like. If you have other things to do, understand, and we'll just catch up later.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, my friend.
All right.
So everyone, I absolutely adore that guy. He's a fantastic person, and you really should get to know him, because it really is worth the time. And what he didn't say about himself is that he's one of the most accomplished chess players I've ever played. He is really good. There's one that I think's better, and I'm not gonna say Tamer's name out loud and piss off Thomas, but it's my squire. I can do that. So we're going into a section of my show we call Being Real, and I got this letter from someone that I deeply respect, and I was really surprised that I got it. And during this section, I read letters from you who want to have problems or want questions answered, or would just like my opinion on something. And I really do think it helps, and it helps people get closure, and it also hopefully changes some things if those people who are involved hear it. So this is called my Being Real. Dear Lash, I was at a local practice a few weeks ago. I'm a first-year fighter, so I was learning from some of the knights that were present. I watched as the knights gave fighting instructions and heard excellent knowledge being shared about armor and fighting forms. And then the topic shifted to the path of knighthood. A couple of the knights began talking about service and arts, and one knight scoffed very loudly, "I don't give a shit if you can dance or what kind of service you do. No fight, no knight. As long as you are kicking ass as a fighter, that's all that matters. None of that other shit." I don't want to single out this knight. I have no doubt he is not alone in his opinion in our kingdom, especially since none of the other knights argued against the point or at least shook their heads. They did and said nothing to the group of squires and unbelted fighters listening. It's a culture that has grown over recent years, and the qualities of chivalry that are rewarded with elevation have seemed to boil down to tournament fighting only. Is this the only standard of chivalry our society is willing to recognize? It seems like it is, not something that I want to be part of if that is true. Hence the reason to ask you as a fringy. I hope we can fix this and expect more from our chivalric peers and provide a better example for new members seeking the order of chivalry. If not, you mercs are looking pretty sweet to me. What should I do? Wow. Yeah, I've read that when I first got it, and I've read it and I've thought about it for this whole week that I've had this, and this makes me really furious, absolutely furious, because to me, in the chivalric virtues, all of them are about service. Prowess is for knights. Prowess is in service of your crown and in service of the people of your kingdom. Every one of those virtues is a service to your kingdom, to the people of your kingdom, and to the SCA. Every time I think about this, I get furious. More so in the fact that there were several knights there that said nothing and did nothing. Now, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. This is one side of the story, but it's one person who is talking and shaping the minds of new fighters. And there were several unbelted fighters and some squires in this circle. That is not how we are. That is not who we are. If you want to be a stick jock and you want to just fight and not do anything else, hey, fine, do your thing. But don't expect the things that other people are going to get for doing the right thing. And the right thing is serving the people. That's what chivalry does. We serve. And for me, the samurai means to serve. And that's it. And this is kind of makes me frustrated, but if you go through the different, I know there's different lists of chivalric virtues, but you go through the chivalric virtues, and every one of them is in some way or another is service. Even like franchise, is a service to other people, because you're an example. You serve as an example to other people. Be that example, because if I'm there, I will take you to task, and I'll do it in front of everybody. Because what happens if we lose this fighter? This one fighter. What happens if this one fighter leaves, decides they're done, they don't want to deal with this because that's what they got in their local area? What happens if we lose them? I'm going to hopefully make sure that this person doesn't leave. But what happens if we lose them? That's one more person that could have been a knight, could have been a pelican, could have been a laurel, could have started a household and have 200 members and bring more people in. That person could do something he could be at an event and save a person's life. They could be, we've had people who have done this, who have saved people's lives. What happened if they hadn't been there? What would have happened? We cannot condone this kind of thing. We can't. And I'm asking everyone out there, regardless if you're an unbelt, if you're a squire, if you're a random person on the side watching, and you hear this, take them to task. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be any of that. You can walk up and say, no, that's not how we are. We actually do service because we can't be out there fighting. They don't have that space where they're practicing without the work of all the other people. They don't get to do that. This. Oh, yeah. I think I better just I think I better just stop there because that's really frustrating and very unchivalric. And we can do better. And if I find out who that guy is, then I'm going to have a chat with him. Whether it'll do good or not, it doesn't matter. But it needs to be said. So, okay. Whew. With that, we have a Ask Last segment. And I don't know if we have any questions yet. But if we do, Justin, if you have any. How do you manage event logistics for a large group? Whoa, wow, you're asking the elder of our tribe. Yeah. I lean on my wife really hard. Logistics is one of the bane of our existence because we ask how many people are going to show up. We get a list of all the people who say they're going to show up. And then as time goes by, people start dropping off. We call that attrition. We call it war attrition because, a lot of it is for good reasons. They have sudden cases of life. There's a lot of things that happen. But the main thing is communication, months and months ahead of time. And you delegate out, and when you can, you delegate out different aspects of an event. So if you want to go to Great Western War, like right now, I have an event page for our camp. Come up with an event page for your camp that has all the information that people need and put somebody in charge of doing a camp kitchen so people can buy into the kitchen so they don't have to bring any of their cooking stuff. They don't have to bring any of that other stuff. You have one person in charge of that. You have another person in charge of getting everybody together if they want a wagon train down or ride share. Have one person take care of that. Then you have another person set up with taking care of stuff at the event, like arranging all of the classes that people want to take and making it into a spreadsheet so people can see all the classes that are going on at that event. And then another person you can set up to be the volunteer person who tells everybody where the volunteer points are, what shifts are available, and what we're going to fill. So if you can delegate those out. If you can't, then you just departmentalize everything. You just start from each one and do each one individually. And the biggest thing, though, is communication between all of that. So, logistics is really tough getting people into events. And there's a lot of work involved in it. So I hope that helps. Do we have another one? Yes, no, maybe? Oh, doesn't look like we have any questions coming in. Oh, okay. I have another part I do is I kind of call it the Paul Harvey section. But I'm actually not really feeling like doing that one tonight because if you see my background, that's a Strail War. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the fact that they're not having a Strail War, and it's a possibility that they're not going to have it again. It is a possibility, and there is a huge problem and a huge internet blow up over this. And I've seen so many people complaining about everything, complaining about the people running it, complaining about the people not doing their jobs and not setting it up right, and not all these other complaints and about the event not happening and all this other stuff. And I call it bullshit. I call it bullshit because those same people that are complaining, and I know half these people, half the people that are complaining about this are the people that always complain. They complain about everything. They complain about the rain that happened. They complain about the time the event starts, the time the event fails. They complain about when they can get on site, when they can't get off site. They complain about everything, but they don't help. They're not there putting in the time and putting in the work to do what we want to do and to help us do what we want to do. They just want to complain. And this has happened on other events too, where we get people who just complain about the event, but they're never in there helping. They're never working at getting this done. And there are people who were busting their ass to set up a Strail War and to have it set up at a time when they normally would have a year to plan it. But no, they don't have a year. The largest event on the West Coast, they ended up, it's not technically West Coast, but it's close, the Western United States. It's the largest event on this side, and they only had till November to set this up. And to think that any of those people working their butts off, the King and the Queen of Aidenvelt, the everybody who's involved in that event, trying to get that event set up, you complaining about this and saying things about them, you have no idea. You have no idea what they do, what they have to do, all the work that they put in, the hours and hours and hours, and the heartache of having to say they can't do it. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Do you really think that these people just arbitrarily said we're not going to do it, and ho hum, we're done. Yeah, we don't have to mess with it anymore. No, I've had events, very small events that are maybe 50 people come to that had to be canceled, and we were heartbroken because we want events, we want to do stuff. So to sit here and think that these people are not sitting at home feeling guilty, feeling horrible because they couldn't do this event, and then to on top of it have people complain and condemn them for the work that they have already put in, that is for nothing now. It's for nothing now because they can't do the event. So all that time, hundreds of hours that they've put in, multiple people have put in, is for nothing. Do you really think they wanted to give that up? So for me and all my friends and the people who I associate with, we are just so sorry that you had to do this. And we are so sad that it happened, and that hopefully we can do something in the future. Hopefully we can bring it back. Hopefully we can find somebody, with land or find something or bring this back. But it's not your fault. None of my people blame you. None of my people think that anything you did was wrong or any of that. I've gotten kicked off of pages now because I brought people to task saying, well, what the fuck? What did you do to help? What did you do to help those people and to contribute to make that war happen? If you didn't do anything, if you weren't involved in it, if you did none of the work, then kick rocks, shut up, go away, because you don't get to have that opinion. You don't get to have that chance to even say anything about it. It's ridiculous. Kick rocks. But from us to all you guys who did all that work and had this happen to you, we are so sorry. And we see you, we value you and your work, and we know how hard it is. And you have our sympathies and our heartfelt apologies for this stuff happening. So yeah, that's whoa. I got two of them that I got all fired up about. Don't mess with service people, man. You know, we try. We do what we can. You know, we try and do everything that we can to make you guys have an event that you can be proud of and have fun at. And thank you everyone for listening to me sit here and just vent. And thank you to my guests and my lady for putting up with this, because I can hear her in the background, and for Justin, and also for Cal for giving us this opportunity to do this. Speaking of Cal, he has some shows coming up on July 25th. He has Concert Conversations. You guys really should watch that one, because there's a lot of stuff that you get to learn about consorts and the processes of not just fighting for your consort or also being a consort, but also everything else that can prepare you for it. And they're really, really, really good shows. And then he also has the August 1st, which is not this Sunday. I think it's the Sunday after. It's Coffee with Cal. And if you can get up like me, if you can get up early and watch it, because it's a lot of fun. The last one was really cool. If you can go back and check it and, you know, give him a like, give him a subscribe, you know, pump his numbers up, let's get him up there. And the last one was about hidden emotional and psychological problems that most people don't see in people, you know, because they're hidden. And it was a fantastic show. You definitely gotta go check that out. Oh yeah, what a show. And we even did it on time, which is just amazing to me, because you know how I like to talk. But I just want to tell everybody, you know, again, you know, we're sad about Australia war, but we'll survive. Let's do another war. Let's everybody who is out there pitch in, and let's make it happen. And there are other wars coming up, so just keep looking. It'll happen. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much. We haven't really had any responses about having another show. So if you really want to see another show, please put in the responses, like, subscribe, throw in all the suggest some people you think I should talk to, and I'll do it again. But and if we do, then we'll see you guys next month. Same last time, same last channel.